Welcome back. This is Fox. Another video today. This is going to be going over my cab production, if you like, or my cab island in the old world. This is producing cabs for my investors. But I wanted to talk a little bit about not just the specialists on this, but how I've got the whole island set up. All of the workforce needed to create these cabs on this island is on site. I've got no commuter pier on this island. You can see I've got this small cluster of engineer houses, a couple of workers houses and 2 farmer houses. That's all I needed to create the workforce for these buildings. I've got a couple of books helping me. This one's giving me extra workforce. This one's giving me extra workforce plus happiness. They're being produced with some of their needs, not all of them. Happiness is really high because of that book that I just showed you. I'm making coats on the island. The other goods, the glasses, sewing machines are being shipped in as an overflow from my investor one island. See, I'm overproducing glasses and sewing machines on this island, so I shipped them over to supply the engineers on this island. So yeah, nothing crazy. I didn't want to use a workforce from any other island because I'm going to be deleting this island at some point to use it to fill it full of investors. I'm going about things a little bit differently this time. I'm creating a lot of stuff on island. Everything that requires glass I'm making on the island with the investors. So I'm making champagne, bulbs, and what's the other thing that needs glass? Glasses, spectacles. So anything that needs glass is being made on island. That's why I've got a small population of engineers on each investor island, so that I can make all the items on site and not need to use any workforce from elsewhere. The only thing I am obviously going to need to ship to this island is cabs. Everything else comes from the old world: chocolate, cigars, coffee. So I shouldn't need any islands in this. I shouldn't need any islands in the old world dedicated to just creating workforce if I'll stick to this method that I've got here for the investors. But yeah, we're digressing. The cab assembly line. What have I done? I've used the clip method. There are only 4 cab assembly lines on this island. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one is being affected by 2 trade unions. You can see. If you set them up in this little square, if you like, then it's easy to get 4 factories all being affected by 2 trade unions each. They are all using the same boost. I'm using Bruno Iron Bright. This affects bicycle factory, sewing machine factory and cab assembly line. You get a 50% productivity boost, occasionally produces advanced weapons and steam motors. I'm not bothered about the advanced weapons, but the steam motors are a massive, massive, massive boost. If I pause the steam motor production on this island, going into the statistics menu, you can see I need 26 tons of steam motors in total for these cab production lines. I'm making 13, so I'm making exactly half just from this specialist. I've got 4 motor assembly lines on this island. Without that specialist I would need 8, and obviously all the workforce that comes with it. So very, very handy specialist. I would recommend using him in your cab assembly lines. There is a specialist that enables you to make cabs from filaments. I don't find that as useful as this because filaments are a pain in the ass. There's no dedicated boosts for them. It uses a lot of coal. They take up a lot of space. So this tiny little section here is making all of the brass and steam motors and all the iron bars and everything that I needed to make the steam motors for this cab production line. The next specialist that I've used in all of these trade unions is this, the Porthampton mass conveyor. This is epic. This is way too OP in my opinion, but hey, you got to use it. It's 60% plus productivity, minus 20% workforce. It does increase the chance of fire a little, but I've got 4 fire stations around this little cluster, and I haven't had any of them go bang just yet. So the next one, this bechamel converter, another really OP item. This is another plus 60% productivity. This decreases the workforce by 50. So with that and that, we've got a minus 80% workforce, but they're being affected by 2 trade unions. So the actual cab production lines or the cab factories themselves are running at 0 workforce. which is a big help. Yep, so the cabs obviously then need the steam engines, steam motors, which we touched on earlier. I'll just quickly go over here. I've got 2 brass smelters running at 290%. These are all being affected by this trade union. This is catching these 2 mines as well. So the brass smelters are being affected by Angela, producing the electricity, decreasing the workforce, and a ferrous. Everybody knows what a ferrous does. It's just the best. So 2 brass smelters feeding 4 motor assembly lines. I only need 2 furnaces. These are all being affected by those same boosts. I only need 2 furnaces, 2 brass smelters to keep these 4 motor assembly lines running. It's saying there's a high chance of fire, so I'm just going to put some more fire stations down just to decrease the chance of them going bang. So yeah, as I said, 4 motor assembly lines, 2 brass smelters, 2 furnaces. I've got 1 zinc mine, 1 copper mine, 1 coal mine, and 1 iron mine. The mines are being boosted massively. I've got the first rate sapper in these 2, which is the coal and the iron. Obviously Angela again producing electricity, giving the boost from electricity. And this guy, Jorg von Melching, I put him in all my mines. I think I've touched on it in a video before this. He produces oil at a 1-to-1 rate, the same as what he produces the goods. So produces a shed load of oil. I've only got 1 power plant on this island producing electricity for these cab assembly lines. The amount of oil these are producing is 44 tons a minute, and I'm only using 12, so I've got enough to run another 3 power plants off this. What I am going to do with this oil, though, is I'm going to ship it to Mbessa and use it to feed the tractor stations, if you like, to provide fuel to my tractor barns in Mbessa. So yeah, that's it. Pretty straightforward for the steam motors. I did a lot of fine tweaking within these workforce bars to get everything sitting on a level. You can see I've got the mines down by 50%, ingots up by 10%, the copper and the zinc up by 50%, and the brass down by 20%. Main reason for this, I didn't want anything overproducing, clogging up these mines. I wanted these mines to just keep churning out constantly so that I've got a constant supply of oil. You see, these are never going to back up. If we look at the coal and the iron, it's just going to sit here. I mean, they creep up slightly. Look, 149 is going to go up 149, 150. Up and down, up and down, up and down. The iron is exactly the same. It's going to sit on a level. That means the mines are working constantly. They're producing a constant amount of oil. That helps you out when you're shipping it off to somewhere else to know that the supply is constant. The only thing I had to do, I am overproducing iron. I'm overproducing the steel ingots, or whatever they're called, steel bars, on this island by a little bit. You can see I'm overproducing by 4 tons a minute. If that clogged up, it would stop the iron factory, the iron mine from working, which would decrease the oil coming out as well. So I've set up 1 trade route. Well, it's actually this trade route. It's the trade route that's picking the cabs up and transporting it to my investor islands. I've also got it to pick up the steel, drop it off at the investor islands. When these islands are eventually full, it will dump it in the sea. So keep a constant flow of steel, which allows the mines to run constantly, which means a constant supply of oil, which we can then use somewhere else. Yeah, the only thing I've got imported to this island, obviously, is the rubber from the New World. Everything else is being made here on site. We go back to the trade route menu. This is the rubber. You can see it coming in. This is my rubber island. It's not nothing crazy at the minute. It's just a cluster of 20 farms. This is producing 99 tons a minute. We need only 19, so this is good for a lot more cab production lines in the future. Coaches, they're the other thing that you need to mix with the steam motors to make your cabs. So coaches, this chap, Serapim Papadikas, the window dresser. He's a legendary. He affects all carpentry works and window makers. Provides electricity, which gives you an instant boost, plus you get an extra 50% boost. He also produces extra wood veneers. I'm not using these veneers at the minute, but in the future I will ship them over to my island that is going to be making telephones. So yeah, all byproducts are going to be used in this save as much as I can. This next one is absolutely crazy. Plus 30% productivity, minus 60% workforce. And then Harker's electric lathe, 50% productivity, minus 25% workforce. So these coaches are running on negative 85% workforce. Each one only needs 2 engineers. Brucey bonus. There wasn't enough around this trade union cluster to feed these 4 cab assembly lines, so I had to stick these other 4 just inside here. These are not being boosted by anything apart from the Palace department and electricity. Palace set to Department of Labour gives you a 10% productivity and 50% productivity from electricity. You can see all of the trade unions are in range of the Palace, so we're getting an extra 50% productivity for every building within inside these trade union boosts. Yeah, that is it. It took me a while to do this, fiddling around with all these elements. The steam motors I had to put up by 15%, but as I showed you in the statistics, everything's balanced out real nice. The coal is just producing slightly more than what we need. The steel, as I said, is producing a little bit more, but we're dealing with that by dropping it off at our investor islands and then dumping it in the sea. I've got no other use for it apart from these cabs, so just needed to get it out to keep the flow of the coal and the iron. We did need some sewing machines. I'm importing these. I'm overproducing sewing machines on my investor island as a byproduct. I've got no sewing machine factory on this island, but it was producing 2 a minute. I needed less than 1 or 1. So I'm shipping the rest over here to feed these engineers. The same goes for the spectacles. They were coming from the investor island that I just showed you. The coats are being made on this island. I'm using the old world cotton, or the advanced cotton mill if you like. Here's the wool for it. And the coat maker is here. I didn't need to produce them everything, I just needed to produce them a few goods to give a decent supply of engineers. I say, look, I've got 29 surplus, but I can't see anything else needing to go on this island. Yeah, the only other thing, obviously, was the wood and the furs, but this is just real basic stuff. Ursula, the secateurs, Vincent's drag saw for the lumberjacks' huts. That's producing me 40 tons of wood a minute and nearly 4 tons of furs. These are below the demand of the actual fur dealer, but the fur dealer is making 5 times as much as what I want, so I'm not too bothered. I can transport some of this somewhere else if need be, if I've got another small island like this where I need a few engineers. So yeah, that was it. So it was really straightforward. Thought it was worth showing you though, because of the way that I've got all the workforces balanced and that, to keep everything on a level, to keep everything running nice and smoothly. Just quickly, we are making 26 tons of cabs a minute. This investor island here, this has 124,000 investors on it, and I'm not producing scars for them yet, so this will go up. But their need is 6. And what were we producing, sorry? Let's get investor 2 as well, because it's dropping off there as well. The demand is only 7 and I'm producing 30, so I can almost do 4 times the amount of investors what I've got here. So it's going to be nearly 500,000 investors with this cab assembly line, with this tiny little cab island that I've got here. I'm aiming for about 800,000 investors this save, and then the rest is going to be scholars. I'm going to aim for 2 million, 2.5 million, and maybe able to get it for 3 without too much bother. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this super efficient self-contained cab assembly line. As always, if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope you learned something, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.